Hi, Warriors. How you doing, Bran? George, how are you? Kman, team, how's it
Right.
going? How
Hey
are you
there.
guys?
Morning, Dale.
Hey, Ryan. So I was looking at this action here in Euro,
You found
and
some action in the Euro? Blimey, you're
uh,
lucky.
well, okay, I found, yeah, that this kind of looks like, a little bit of consolidation to prior resistance, and almost looks like it's building some type of flag. It's a strength. You know, cable looks worse. Aussie looks worse than cable. And, the question is, with what happened last week, the big reversal in dollar and yen, isn't this a selling opportunity if last week was for real?
Hmm.
You know what
Was
I
it or
mean? If
wasn't
this
it?
was real, pretty ugly reversal week, um, last week, uglier than the yen's candle on the weekly. Wouldn't you want to sell a pop in the dollar and buy a dip in maybe euro, which has, to me, my eye, has the
Yeah,
strongest pattern right now?
yeah, I agree. I think we've had a little go at breaking the range, particularly in the Euro. Um, that's failed. We're back in the range now, and
Okay.
again, I don't see a reason why we break it coming out through everything we came through
Yeah.
last week. I look at these markets and these events a bit like a Newton's cradle. You know, when you pull the ball at one end and you let it go and
Oh,
it
yeah.
swings back and forth until it stops
Right.
finally. This
Right.
is what these prices look. We had highs, we had lows, and now we're banging in the middle. So yeah, it's back to picking your spots, picking your ranges, picking your levels, and not getting too excited. You know, Monday everyone was excited because cable was breaking up. Um, now, now we've
Right.
got more chance maybe of hitting 124 than we had 120 than hitting 125. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I have some good news for silver longs. I've noticed this is happening. We took out this break, we had a breakdown, and it's failing. The breakdown is failing. So they cleaned out all the stops under 40. What was the low here?
Hmm.
28. So maybe this is it. I mean, I think Grega has a count where I don't know if it's deeper, came in, you're paying attention to it.
Very much so. Hi, Dale. Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
but
Well,
so where was Grega looking to buy it? Down around 22 or
yeah, and me.
and you? Yeah.
I did a little one because I'm keeping it small because I'm not afraid that, but a bit worried that metals could do an oil kind of a release of all the valves and saying, like, all right, there's not too much stress also in the system, and then all of a sudden we see the metals come off another few percent. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I respected the level, got filled on a small one, and let's see what happens there.
Yeah.
I'm ready to load more if it goes lower, lower perhaps.
Yeah. I'm
What
not
you want
sure
to?
this is the low, the perfect low to get long. I'm just pointing out, especially people, we're going to trade the breakdown,
Yeah,
that there's, Houston, we have a problem on the breakdown.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
True. That is very true if you look at it that way. But then if you look a bit left to what's happening in October, we had a rally failed, we had a rally failed, we had a
Yeah.
rally failed again. One could look at it a little bit like we had in oil, and that's why I'm just that cautious about it.
Okay.
Because there could be a kind of an oil move in there as well, and then we are going to see a bit lower. But both are holding. Both gold and silver are
Yeah.
holding where they have to hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, oil is a different thing. We had a massive build on the API yesterday. That didn't
Okay.
help.
Well, I talked about the 80 breakdown and put out a warning to people that were long oil shares because everyone loved them last year and this year, and there you go. You have a breakdown under 84, and I don't think the bottom is close until we get to like the summer lows, which are down there. So oil definitely ugly.
Yeah, it does. And
Yeah.
despite whatever OPEC also may be saying, there's a bit of again to do with China. There's a few articles out saying that the demand in oil from China is just not big enough to hold oil up for the time being. On the other hand, while you're on the dollar China, there are a few people investors starting to say that the worst in China may be
Over.
behind, and
Yeah.
they start to look at more on the investment side again. But probably a longish process. But I'm starting to think that if we get this moving up again above 730 into that 732.34 zone, I may start to look for the other side this time.
Okay. And so far we have a little two drive, pretty classic two drive. You see the glaring divergence on the 4 hour. It doesn't always take, it doesn't always take three. I might even try it if we had one more low, but
Go long?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's still there, but then we have to look at it in the global context of the move. We're talking about 728 versus 733, for instance. That's less than 1%. If you take the extremes, 727 the low, and versus the high 734, we're talking about 1% for a currency which is still, let's say, not part of the majors, but developing currency pair. Still not a big move, right? So we have to contend with minor swings now, I reckon, unless we start to break 724.5, then I think the ship may be finally really turning.
Is the yen going to take out that high before
I
the sell-off that we had?
Yeah, I'm nursing that 150.5 option that I have, but I try to borrow some fishing gear because I'm catching a fish every 7-8 hours now. More than that, there is nothing to do in the yen. Yen is too weak to counter it. In my opinion, yen is too weak to counter it, and prices are too high to chase it. So I'm quite happy actually to just nurse my option.
Leave it alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you want to buy it. Yeah, of course, it's probably going to go to 152, but you want to buy it and then run into an intervention. It's one of those where.
So that's in, if it's in your head, it's in most traders' heads about that. So about the fear of buying it here.
Yeah, that's it. But you can hardly buy yen because you're looking at 4.5% differences in interest rates where you pay away every day. So
that would be discouraging too. Aussie, kind of back to support. If you're going to start believing the China story, I guess you have to start believing that the Aussie story and the copper story. I look at this big rally we've had in copper, and I remember this day. I go, what happened? But then you look at it on a daily, and we've rallied back to the breakdown here at 375. So this is going to really tell the story about, I think, China and Aussie. And I wouldn't be buying copper up here. I'd be waiting for a break if I wanted to get long. To me, it looks like a short with the stop close over 375.
Yeah, maybe leaning against that 355 if that shows up as support again.
Yeah. So anyway, just something to keep in mind. And you know what? And I'll remember this last time. The copper bottomed well before the S&Ps, about a week before. And then you had Amazon rip the cover off the ball. So there were signs. Anyway, with the S&Ps still grinding higher. Who's the S&P expert here?
Everyone. Everyone's an SP expert.
What do you think of risk? Is it the all clear into the end of the year, the
Ooh, good old
seasonals?
Santa rally.
Yeah. Is Santa already in his sleigh? It's only the 8th of November.
I don't know. Cost of living says his sleigh's made out of cardboard boxes and bits of wood this year.
Yeah, and he can't get any coal this year.
Yeah.
So
Dale, and good morning.
Hey, buddy.
You can see it on your fib level there. I've been saying it most of this week. We're going to probably take out those highs and hit that 618 around the 44.15 level at least. If not go higher. I mean, I'm trying to find reasons why the market's going to stop here, and I don't know if we can come up with any great ones.
The only thing I could. Yeah, I can't think of any either, except because I do think that the yen's up strongly and yields are still soft. When I looked at the 4-hour yesterday, I saw this, and maybe we could rally back. We talked about maybe a right shoulder up here or something, but this still looks pretty weak.
Well, you think about where yields are at, and then Ryan, you had a great conversation on the trade-off about being in the rate cut game, like everybody's anticipating rate cuts and where we're going to be. I mean, the market is pricing in, and correct me if I'm wrong, pricing in about a full basis point of rate cuts in 2024
for the Fed, yeah.
For the Fed, right? I'm not talking to other central banks. I'm just talking about just the Fed in general, because we're talking about U.S. equities. That's a lot of wiggle room to, that's a lot of wiggle room right now to mess with, as far as rate expectations go. I mean, people, we might get a batch of weak data going into the end of the year. Like, let's just say, labor market's little soft, before we, get some reads on holiday, hiring, and maybe the next, non-farm payroll in December comes in a little light. Maybe some of these PMIs come in a little bit lighter, the ISMs. And next thing you know, people are like, wow, maybe we'll get more than a percent. Now, I think that they're way off. And I still believe that until you see, inflation consistently below 2%, the Fed's not going to, they're not going to give us any indication of any rate cuts. But regardless, that's a lot of wiggle room to still, get a lot of volatility in the markets. And I think markets can still think that we're going higher, especially if data comes in a little soft. So
that's what I've been. Sorry, go on, Dale.
Oh, well, just that I get the free stuff from Fed Guy, and so the last title of it was that the bond market, not to buy. This rally is just, another bear market rally. He actually used the word dire, that the treasury market is still in dire straits, or it's dire. So he doesn't believe this rally in the long end. What I got from that.
And what's really interesting is yesterday, I think it was a 3-year auction yesterday that really moved the market. There was nothing that really moved the market until the auction. Today we got a 10-year auction, and we'll find out, because we're right at resistance. And you can see it in your TLT.
Why don't you grab the charts? Yours are better than mine.
Well, I'll just say that
so I could copy all your lines. Will you please?
That's what people do, because I'm the only person that sees these trend lines, because it's like magic over here. It's what it is.
You're the wizard of lines.
Yeah, you see those lines? No one else has them. It's my lines, no one else's lines. No, but you can see that channel resistance. We're at the 50 DMA. On the 10-year, right? And we have a 10-year auction today. The auction yesterday showed pretty good demand. Yields came down, dollar moved as a result. This might be the catalyst that drives the bond market higher today. If the bond market is if it's good demand.
It's a 10-year auction, right? Blake?
What's that? Yeah, it's a 10-year. And so,
Okay.
Kman, where wasn't you that were talking about, like, that money sitting on the sideline, and maybe
Mhm.
it starts to get attractive at these levels, right? I mean, we've been trying to see maybe demand picks up a little bit for these auctions.
Well, that's what we are going to have to monitor now, because
Yep.
we have a 10-year today, we have a 30 tomorrow, and then we have Powell in between. Powell is talking in about, what is it, an hour or so?
Yeah, he's opening remarks of but
Yeah.
tomorrow's is more important conversation, because he'll be at that I think it's at a round table or something. It's panel.
Where is
He's a
that?
panel tomorrow. Today is like
Tomorrow?
today is some opening remarks
Yeah,
of
okay.
some crap.
Okay, so yeah, there's going to be a few tests now coming. What I wanted to say on earlier remarks about the S&P and stuff is that in contrary to what I expected until a few weeks ago, there seems to be very little stress in the system, also helped by the setback in yields. Very little stress in the system over the turn of the year right now. I thought we were going to go into a very difficult year end, but there seemed to be little stress in there. Otherwise, but we can still see it from next week onwards, from the 15th or so of November. Usually we start to see a bit of wobbles if they have to be there. But it does seem that there's very, very little stress into the year end in most of the systems. So
Yeah.
I
That was a
would
record
say,
drop in VIX last week, by the way.
yeah, and we usually we should, if there is stress in the system, we should be holding a bit higher levels. But again, it can still happen next week. If that doesn't happen, then I reckon indeed that we are going to see those bond issuances get more and more success, really.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
And then it's possible that we do see the Santa and the year-end rally in risk,
Yeah, I mean,
if that is the case.
We do have a government shutdown potentially. I think it's the next week, isn't it? Like the 18th or 20th or something like that. I mean, I don't think anybody's particularly. I think the market's kind of numb to it at this point, but we do have to contend with that. I mean, who knows? Dale, when you started this show, you were looking at the dollar and you're like, if this reversal is real, and we can just go look at weekly charts, right? And you can just say that candle, and I'm just going to point this out really quick. This is a dollar index weekly candle. That's ugly. A bearish outside week.
Right.
That's ugly. I mean, any which way you slice it. You look at the euro bullish outside day, cable, big bullish candle.
Week.
Yeah. On these are the weekly candles, right?
Yeah.
Obviously the RBA had something to say about the Aussie. But going back to the dollar index, let me grab the dollar index. So your question was to Ryan and Kman, if we're going to turn, and if last week was a real move, shouldn't we be reversing around here? And my thoughts are, yeah, I would think so. And you can see where we're stalling today. This is the big breakout point. So this is going back to the dollar and going back to March of 2023. The high was 105.88, if I'm not mistaken, 105.90. Today's high is 105.87, and you can see how we're kind of backing away from that pivot. Just as we ran up there this morning in European trade, we're backing off a little bit. So I do think that if we're going to turn, it should probably be soon. You would think.
Yeah, I mean, I still think we get that 108 euro, right? So that doesn't mean it's the end of the bull market in the dollar, but I don't think the break that we had from last week to Monday's low was it. So now we have a failing rally, and then we go down another time, take out Monday's low at, like 4.5 or something. Maybe that's the end of, if it's a correction, the end of a dollar correction before we get another run.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I've been trying to, like, yesterday I did a YouTube short on, building the, kind of a plan to how the euro is going to get up to the 108 level. Cause I do want to short up there. I've had outstanding orders all week to sell the euro up around there. We just, obviously haven't made it up there just yet. And again, I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the catalyst today, and maybe it is a strong bond auction, or we definitely have to watch that auction today. I think that's going to be the most important thing. Even today there's just not a lot happening. We do have a lot of Fed speakers. Ryan, Kman, any Fed speakers that we should be paying attention to that might be speaking today that you're thinking because we got Powell, obviously his opening remarks, but we got Barr, Jefferson, Williams. Let's see who else is speaking today.
Well, Barr's spoken already, and he's Mr. Financial Stability. So it's we've had a few comments out from him. Jefferson, we pretty much know where all these guys are, but we are getting these remarks first, Jefferson, Williams after the FOMC, so we get a little bit of an update. They're all speaking the same language. They're watching. Yeah. No one knows what's happening with yields. I don't know why yields are going. They're surprised by the economic strength, and inflation's still too high, and they don't know what to do with it all at the moment. So, yeah, we'll see. It has to be some big comments to get the market moving, I think. But if Powell doesn't drop any bombs, I fear we're all going to be picking our fingernails again.
Well, it's go ahead, Dale. I'm sorry.
Can you show your VIX chart again? I just want to point something out. We're at 78.6 back right here at 1480. Now, if you think that we're going to collapse and, be trading, 12, 10 VIX again, I don't think that's going to happen. So,
you don't think we're going to trade back to 10?
No.
Really? All right. Well,
no, I don't.
Oh no, it seems like the market's pretty,
It may not go anywhere, but I don't think we're going to 10.
All right. Well, we'll I guess we'll have to see what happps around this 12.5 level if we get down there. But yeah, you're right. We're at the 78% retracement.
Yeah, it's going to hold.
So going back to the S&P, this has been my thought process with the S&P. We got resistance coming up. We are, I know we talked about this yesterday. We talked about there's a very shallow retracement, expected, continued move higher. So we got yesterday, we started building it. You got to imagine there's a lot of stops above here. But this is the 618 at the 44.15 level that I was referencing, Dale, earlier. Yeah, you have it on your charts too. It's right there. It's just above that resistance, and then you have this descending trend line. Now, I also am not ignoring the fact that if we break above it and we start breaking above, like let's say 44.40, I mean, well, I don't know if we're going to go to highs, but I think we're going to go to here. Let me zoom out a little bit on triangle resistance, which could take us right back to 4,600 in the S&P. And the reason why I say that is if you look at the NASDAQ 100, we are breaking this channel. That's had us, since July, I believe it's July. Right. Yeah, July. I mean, why can't the NASDAQ 100 race up towards, 16,000, 15,800, somewhere up there. So, you look around and you're like, oh, okay, I can see why the market could potentially do that. Anyway, just some thoughts. I mean, how do you guys feel about crude? I mean, crude, we came down yesterday pretty aggressively. We're almost down to the 618 retracement. Actually, I think we might have tagged it. 161% extension held at 76.24. The 618 comes in at 75.60. Overnight, we were looking at that to be tested. You can see, it's red on basic technical, and we were looking for a move to 76.24 and 77.30. So we got to 76. Well, we dropped below that slightly and found some buyers. But what do you guys feel about crude here? I mean, this is like a tailwind to the economy, right? Globally,
to the bond market.
It certainly helps inflation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing this continued move lower. I'd have to imagine everybody's been trying to buy this crude dip, but now we're at the 618. We're at the key fib level, and you can argue that here's this like support zone. We're getting really close to where buyers are going to start really sticking their neck out around here. Do you believe it?
Biden's bid at 70, isn't he?
Who? What?
Joe Biden, he's bid at 70
Biden.
to fill up the SPR.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
maybe.
Yeah, there's a good question for you guys in the UK from Abjus. Can someone explain why the FTSE hasn't participated with the global rally?
Why the what,
Do you
sorry?
have any idea, Brian?
Why the what,
FTSE?
sorry?
Why the FTSE 100 hasn't participated with the other global markets?
It's a mix. It's a mix of probably pessimism about the UK economy, plus also you got to remember that there's a lot of internationals in the FTSE, so there's a lot of influence. What happens abroad is reflected in the FTSE because they're all multinationals. A lot of multinationals in there. So yeah, it's the FTSE going to be a funny one. If it's full on risk on and everyone else is going, then it goes with. But it can be a bit selective as well, and also what happens in the pound is an influence as well.
Okay.
When you're
while we're at it, Blake, take a look at the Nikkei, and I think it failed to make new highs. It came very close. I don't know what happened overnight, but the Nikkei.
I have it. I just need to pull it up.
It was a leader. It was a leader on the way up all through the summer, right? And then here we are.
Yeah, I would argue that it's flagging still. One of the things that it couldn't break is it couldn't really hold and sustain a breakdown.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it still looks pretty well bid. I mean, again, this is where a lot of global investors are kind of hiding out here. They're taking advantage of your favorite BOJ governor and mine, Ueda's lack of response and policy, and you're saying, hey, well, there's no other central bank keeping rates at these levels, so let's plow into Japanese assets. So I think that's the one thing that's keeping the Nikkei, nice and well bid, if you will.
And don't forget we have during the late 2022 and then into 2023 we have the Warren Buffett rally.
Warren Buffett bid.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
We had the Warren Buffett rally, right? So
yeah. Well, if it ever takes out those lows, look out. That's kind of parallel to like 4,100 S&Ps.
Yeah, let's not forget where the Nikkei is at. Let me show you guys, just for those of you that are
back to the 89.
I mean, if you guys don't remember back, where
were you in 89, Blake? Where
was I? I was in high school, my junior year of high school.
Oh, yeah. What were you driving?
I was driving a Fiero.
Just thought I'd take you down memory lane.
Yeah, it was a red Fiero. Thank you for it. Was the biggest American piece of shit car ever made, but it looked cool.
No, the Pinto was like Pinto.
I did have a Chevette, Andrew. Just so you know, that was my first vehicle, was a Chevy Chevette. I think my dad bought it for $400, and he had to rebuild it, the transmission. Anyway, so yeah, that's you look at the lost decades in the Nikkei, in Japan, and we're still not too far away from those levels, but we still haven't taken them out either. Couple other things I guess we should really just talk about really quick. Going back to currencies, you look at pound, and we broke out, but we couldn't take out that 200 DMA. We've come back off. We're down. We've retraced 50% of this move higher. What do you guys think? I mean, you guys live in the UK. You guys are obviously boots on the ground people. You should know. Yeah. What do we do here with sterling?
Spend it.
Well, how important is the GDP data tomorrow? It's tomorrow morning, and it's less than 24 hours away. How important is that GDP data?
I think, is it tomorrow? I think it's Friday.
Oh, was it Friday? I thought it was Thursday morning. Maybe it's Friday morning. Yeah, you're probably right. Okay, so less than 48 hours from now. How important is that data?
What do we do with it? You wait for the numbers. It depends on what we're doing going into the data. If the pound is still looking weak going into data, you get a strong number. then you want to look to perhaps fade it. It all, I wouldn't take a position now on a GDP, most definitely not. I'm more interested in trading the ranges. I doubt GDP is going to move the needle that much unless it's a big outlier number, a big miss or a big beat. Yeah. If it can't move much over the Bank of England and everything else, it's not going to move over a crappy GDP print. So yeah, look at what we're doing going in. If the pound is strong in the morning, then it's either going to accelerate further on good numbers, or if it's bad numbers, people are going to come in and buy the dip. So just take it day by day, data dependent, as we say.
Data dependent and playing the ranges, it sounds like. So Dale, you do not have an interview today, right?
Correctly.
All right. Well, we'll since it's a pretty slow day, and there's not a whole lot happening. One last thing I want to just mention. If you guys have been following the DAX actually looks pretty strong. It's like one of the markets that's outperforming. Don't forget, there's big resistance coming. I look at the German economy and I don't think good things. So you got the 50 DMA right here, channel resistance, previous support, lot of resistance as we grind higher here. If there is going to be a index that shows failure, I think it's going to be the DAX. So keep an eye on that. That was one of my.
Yeah, that's a good point, Blake. Ellioticians would say we completed one down, 5 waves down for one from the top. And now we're in wave two. Wave two, who knows how long it takes to complete. But anyway,
three is the big one.
Yeah, the biggie.
Comes,
yeah,
it's the big one if that one comes. All right. So anyway,
that's when Putin takes over Berlin.
There we go. That's oh my gosh. All right.
Bunker Dale's back. Bunker Dale is back.
Right. Yeah. And with that, we need to go. So I just want to say thanks everybody for tuning in today, and appreciate you guys.
Thank you for being everyone attending the Twilight Zone F.A.C.E edition. And really guys, for not having a lot, I think we covered a lot of ground, things that you keep in mind as we move forward this week. And you know what, guys, I would, if I was learning how to trade, not just attend these, I'd watch the videos again and have a pad out and paper and write down key things, and it's almost like a course. So that's what I would do if I was new. Okay, so everyone have a great day. And Kman, Ryan, Blake,
thank you, Dale.
Dream Team, great job as always. I tell you what, it is really a bitch getting up this early. I know Blake has a little reprieve for a few months, but I really enjoy it. Okay, so despite it being difficult, the motivation to get up and learn, even for me who's been doing this for 2,000 years, it gets me out of bed, and by the end, during the show, I'm not tired. So it's because I think it's pretty stimulating what we do here every morning, and a great mission that you guys are contributing to. So that's it. Everyone have a great day, and we'll see everyone tomorrow. I do have an interview tomorrow. So
thanks,
don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Dream Team, thank you very much, and good luck. See you tomorrow, everyone.